Whenever we're going to talk sports technology, of course, I have to bring on SportsTechieNet's Bob Roble. Bob, when we look at the world of apparel and marry that with technology, you come up with one big company, of course, and that's Under Armour. Now, Under Armour is now the number 2 fitness apparel in the world. I mean, they just overtook several other companies. Of course, they're not going to overtake Nike because of those darn Air Jordans. But for everything else, they seem to be kind of moving ahead, right?
Hey, Troy, thanks for having me on the video Skype interview. Definitely big news today. Under Armour, they signed a deal with NBC Sports Network and NBC Universal with a company called Radius and a new digital fitness network. So that's big news in the sports tech industry. They're going to have 5 virtual trainers that'll be available for those people that are at home from 6 to 9 that need a workout trainer. But that's really probably their third biggest deal in the sports tech market. Troy, they started with a product called the Armour 39, launched that a few years ago. And what they found was it was a very difficult product to develop. It's expensive with the hardware. And I've seen this trend happen, Nike getting out a little bit with the Nike Plus and partnering with Apple and the iPhones. So then Under Armour last year bought Map My Fitness, which was a 20 million community strong fitness app. And they've since grown that to 30 million. So definitely sports tech is something that has boosted Under Armour to 18 consecutive quarters of 20% growth and 4 consecutive quarters of 30% growth.
And really, if you're going to look at this, it's two sides of a different coin. NBC Sports seems to be moving about several different places. This isn't just the only one. They got the Premier League. They've started to do a lot of interesting things. But to me, this kind of transcends it to where now they've not only got the visual side of it with a lot of different sports content, but also they have the app side of it through Under Armour and other organizations. This seems like a good pull to make sure that whether you're watching at home or whatever you're doing, you're really connected in a way to NBC Sports and through Under Armour.
Absolutely. The fitness monitoring, fitness tracking market is expected to be $5 billion by 2016. So, they want a piece of that pie. And, you mentioned Nike. They pulled in $8.9 billion last year in athletic apparel and shoes and different products. But number 2, there was a flip. You've got Under Armour just recently overtook this past year Adidas AG for the first time in history. There's lots of reasons behind that. Adidas has primarily been focused on soccer, and while Under Armour really has focused on things like youth, athletic wear, and even the women's market, their endorsements are another strength, I think, Troy. Tom Brady is an equity partner, Cam Newton, Michael Phelps, some big names there. They've also signed Giselle, Tom Brady's wife, and Notre Dame Athletics, and they're a pretty big sponsor of Team USA. So, yeah, this big news today with NBC Sports Network combined with their existing, fitness technology, sensors, I think is going to catapult them even further.
And it's really smart not to do things beyond what your expertise is. NBC Sports is not probably the sports tech market place. They're not going to be able to focus on it, but Under Armour is. And by partnering, I think it creates activation because it's not only has awareness, but also the fact that Under Armour really has a lot of street cred that NBC Sports wouldn't if they came out with their own technology that was really trying to be confined to their own space.
Absolutely. You got to remember that NBC owns, or Comcast, they have the rights to the Olympic Games. So we'll probably see a lot of Under Armour, not only as endorsers of the Team USA brand, but developing products. Maybe you remember last year the controversy with the U.S. speed skating team and the Under Armour suit, and there was a problem with the venting that was used for cooling in the back, and it was affecting the aerodynamics. Some people considered it an issue that maybe cost them gold medals. But I think upon further testing, they figured out that it really probably Under Armour especially mentioned that it wasn't their particular suits that were causing the problem. It simply was the athletes. Go ahead.
But I actually think that in a way, this could actually change the way we watch TV as well. Imagine an Under Armour suit that's connected so I can see the heart rate of a person as they move through the field of play in the Olympics, etc. That might be something to put on as a digital graphic in a way that you've never had before. That might be a great marrying of technology that really changes the face. And really for NBC Sports, I can also see it as they're still trying to figure out their own way. They tried to take for a while ESPN personalities and Fox Sports personalities, and they're still trying to feel their way. So this might actually be a good type of technology to implement and really set themselves apart in the field.
I think that's a good consideration there, Troy. I think Kevin Plank, the CEO of Under Armour, founder, he's a pretty smart man. He's positioned the company to go into athletic biomeasurement and that niche. And to your point, being able to use fitness devices, apps, activity trackers, heart rate monitors, calorie counters, having all that data on the screen is definitely something that your younger generation and even, my parents, for instance, would enjoy watching the games and seeing, say, Apollo Ono, and he's doing his speed skating and, seeing exactly where he's, optimizing his workouts and his training and his actual performance, and where there might be holes, especially during gold medal events.
And I'm actually curious to see how Radius works out. We've seen personal trainers that have gotten on TV before. They've never been virtual, but they still had the same type of atmosphere of being able to really help people at home. I mean, you've had people since Jack LaLanne started back in the 40s and 50s on TV. But do you see this really being something that energizes and makes people more active at home, or is it still something that's yet to be seen?
There's a couple of factors I think you have to consider right away, is obesity being one of them. Our country, or even our world, is as obese as it's ever been. So we're definitely going to have to knock that back. With that comes health problems. The healthcare, really starts to become expensive. So I think that's one of the areas that we'll probably be looking at with these products. Another being accessories. So you're going to have a lot of different bells and whistles that'll sync up to these like activity watches, the smart watches that are coming out. You've got Under Armour's got a pretty in-depth lineup of products that I thought would definitely be integrated with sports tech going forward, like batting helmets, shin guards. They've got their own sunglasses. The Google glasses something like that, where they'll be able to measure performance. And we've talked in the past about the GoPros, action cameras. So that's probably another niche that Under Armour will get into pretty soon. Would be the cameras.
Does this also become something to where now that Under Armour has done it, we're going to start seeing shoe companies and apparel companies start to marry with some of the networks, as we have when they've started to marry to some of the teams? Like they'll own an entire team. They'll have to be the Nike team or the Adidas team or the Reebok team. Are we going to actually see that come to fruition to where Fox Sports 1, that's where you're going to see only Adidas gear featured or Adidas products? Or is it going to be something to where this is just kind of a flash in the pan or just a one isolated incident?
I believe that's probably the case. I mean, as we go forward, you're going to see not only events presented by Under Armour, say the Super Bowl, but you'll have teams, maybe the Seattle Seahawks or some other teams that are very tech focused that'll be sponsored or endorsed by brands like Under Armour. And then all the way down to the athletes. They've been working with the National High School Federation. It's a high school league that's online. I've done some blogs about it, and Under Armour's sponsored that. So we've got them really targeting the youth market, which become lifetime buyers. When they buy it as a teenager, then they buy as an adult, and then they buy as a senior. So I think they've got a pretty good formula on who they're going after. We mentioned women. So I'm excited to see what happens next with Under Armour after this exciting news with NBC Sports.
Well, it is pretty exciting, and this, of course, is where your kind of wheelhouse is. Thank you, Bob Roble, for coming on SportsTechieNet, where every cool toy comes from the field of play. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Troy.